If you want to have a different plan set up for every single broker at your brokerage, we've seen that. If
We've seen it.
you have standard plans that, that the brokers move between every year based on their last year's production, we've seen that. So it can be set up and be very flexible. And as Nick mentioned, while it is something that you can adjust and set up on a self-service basis, we walk you through all of this. You have a dedicated, what we call implementation manager, who helps with your onboarding, who's going to make sure that you have it set up correctly when you first start using the product. But then from that point forward, of course, you can use our support team. They're available all the time, essentially. But you don't have to wait on them if there's some tweak that you need to make or new plan that you've got to add. And so we find people really value that in a back office system.
And we can certainly show you when we get to reports different ways that you can make adjustments on your own. If someone is being gifted a few extra progress dollars, if you will, or you wanted to carry it over, any sort of special situation, we'll even let you adjust it manually for an individual broker. So ideally, there is no situation you'll throw us into that we won't have some way to address. So let's hop back to that voucher. Here we go. And we were on step 3. And I did just add a commission plan, I believe, to both of us. So if I were to go and look at this dropdown, you'll see it's already there. So as soon as I'm assigned to that, you'll automatically see that adjust. So let's see. If I wanted to put him back on the senior broker plan, we can do that. And I'm on this new one, and you can see the difference between these two. Let's go ahead and lock these in. Let's say that this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click save. It'll do a quick check for us as well. So if I had anything unallocated, for instance, it would highlight that for us. And now, ideally, your commissions are all figured out. We can move on to billing. Billing is another one that we've got lots of different ways to sort of preset this for you to make it a little bit easier. In fact, I'm going to remove both of these receivables and show you what we can do. So the only thing you might have to add here is if you don't have a payer set up. It's the same thing that we have on the step 2, the contacts page. I can click here, search for a name, and add that payer.
And that's just whoever needs to receive the invoice, whether it's the landlord or it's got to go to the title company, whoever's info you want to show up on the invoice, that's the contact you'll add as the payer.
Yes, exactly. Receivables, we will give you sort of suggested ones. Maybe it's just 1, it's 2. Since this is a lease, I can even generate a receivable for every month of the lease, every quarter, a yearly one. So if I selected monthly, for instance, you'd see we're automatically breaking down exactly how much you should be receiving for that individual month.
And that's based on the full lease terms table or rent schedule that you put in earlier. So that even reflects like the changes in the commission amount for every year, right?
Right.
As the rent is increasing, the commission's increasing, the receivable amounts will reflect those changes.
So that's why you see at the 12-month mark, we jump up from 10/18/52 to 10/38/89 to reflect that higher rate for year 2. So let's stick with monthly for now. It feels like a good option. I'm going to click save. And then preview and submit. This is our last stage. And really what this is we've put everything, all previous 4 steps, in one place for you to get a full overview of everything. So I've got my space info, my closing info. I can even expand this if I wanted to look at my lease terms again, my contacts, that commission breakdown we just looked at, my billing info, when I expect those receivables, and then we get down to payables, which we haven't received any money yet, so that's why that's empty. But this is, let's say, you have a broker that is filling all this out and handing it over to you, the transaction team. This is the step where they would be able to say, I think this is all correct, and I'm submitting it to you. And you could receive an email that says, hey, Nick, the broker, thinks that this voucher looks good. Time to review it and give it your stamp of approval. Or if you've done all, if the handoff was before step one, this is just your chance to lock in all these details before you officially say everything looks good to go.
So just to confirm, technically, perfect world, the broker or one of the brokers on this deal is the one to fill out and submit the voucher. And then that triggers a notification to what we call an approver, but somebody on the back office team who's going to come in and approve it. But we also see that, not every brokerage out there is living in a perfect world where the brokers want to spend time on this data entry. And so in that case, we often see that a transaction coordinator or somebody on the back office team actually is the one filling out the voucher and handling submission. And then, of course, we'll talk about in a second what happens after it's approved. But up to this point, this voucher's a draft, meaning it's a work in progress. And when you go to submit it here, that's when we're going to run the final kind of validation checks to make sure all the required fields are filled out, meaning we have like a landlord and tenant contact, for example. It's going to make sure all the numbers add up correctly, right? That my receivable amounts match my gross commission, and that all the broker splits add up, and so on. And assuming everything looks good, I'll submit and it'll get handed off to the next person in the process.
Also, before I click submit, because I do get this question a lot, if we're back in that perfect world where the broker has submitted this for you to approve, if a broker sets up this particular voucher, they will only see their split and commission plan information. So if Paul set up this voucher for me and I didn't have my back office permissions, Paul would see he's on the senior broker plan for 55%. He would see my name, but it would say private for everything else. So individual brokers can only see their commission plans, their split amounts, percentage, net amounts, all that. So we do keep that private to just the broker, and then of course the transaction team.
Great call out. And both brokers can look at the voucher, they just won't see each other's split details. And keep me honest, but I think we can even get fancier with the approval workflows if you want to go really wild and have a multi-step workflow where all the brokers approve and then maybe the accounting team approves and then maybe the CFO approves. We can set up that process just the way you like it as a customer.
Correct. We've got, we call them voucher workflow approval, if you want to call it that, where you can be exactly as narrow or as wide as you want to be. I could say primary broker has to approve it, then me, the back office administrator, can approve it. Or all the secondary brokers approve it, then the primary, then me, then the CFO. As complicated as you wish to make it, with each of those steps giving you the ability to say, this doesn't look right, I'm going to put in a note for why and send it back to the beginning of the approval process. Maybe the square footage is wrong or commission looks off or whatever the reason may be. The way we have it set up today, though, is sort of the simple way, which is anyone that has permission to approve a voucher will see this approval button that you're about to see. So again, for ease, I have all of these permissions turned on. But when I click submit, you'll see it says pending approval. An email has now gone out. If you had email notifications set up for any of your approvers to be notified, they would get one now that says, hey, this 24-131 Suite 222, it's ready for you to take a look. So now all I have to do is click approve. I do want to point out this real quick. We've got this no comp will be created on approval checkbox. You might be wondering what's going on with this. Just to make it even easier to use this great transaction property data that you have already entered in the system, unless you tell us otherwise, we're automatically going to generate a comp for your data. So all of that, like again, property, sale or lease information, we're automatically going to generate one for you. So just less information to manually enter if you wanted to put that into your comp system.